with every breath you take. Can you take a deep breath and you see that the energy of the planet, the healing energy of planet Earth in the form of the green light is entering into your feet, into your roots. You're sucking it in. And then you push it up and you breathe it out through your crown chakra. And it goes up straight to the sky, to the space, to the cosmos. And it's completely connecting you with everything. And now you can gently come back and sit at your comfortable position. And go back into silence, close your eyes, and just be quiet. And keep seeing yourself, keep visualizing as you're breathing in that the healing energy of the planet Earth in the form of a green light, it's coming through your body, spiraling through your chakras and going straight up from your crown chakra to the space. slowly, slowly come back here. Okay. Okay, so if there's anybody has any questions, you can write to me on the chat box here and I'll answer your question. If there are no questions, then can you hear me fine? Yeah, okay, great. Well, it's nice to have everyone back. I can see there's some new people. Welcome. The meditation we did, basically, however short, especially when we do an active meditation, the idea of active meditation is that because there is action and there's movement to them, it helps the mind to quiet down a lot quicker than just a simple guiding or visualization meditation. Because if you do a meditation and you're trying to not think, then to not thinking, you're thinking all the time. So, so you can't just do a meditation with the intention that, okay, I'm going to be doing this so I don't think. It doesn't work because you're using your mind not to think. So you have to throw the mind off. Is by having, for example, in this particular meditation is a grounding meditation to get you very much connected to the planet. And a lot of us need grounding because we're a lot in our heads and we're too out there. And our minds are too busy thinking. So we're not grounded. And a lot of us, a lot of times, feel like insecure or shaky. We easily lose our center. So the grounding meditation is very good to bring us back and connect it to the planet and connecting to our own core. So this system of gently going up and down, I'm doing a little exaggeration, going up and down, and you're visualizing that you have grown or roots into the planet. And then as you're breathing in, the energy is spiraling through your body and coming to your heart chakra and then as you're breathing out, it starts to spiral up from your fifth chakra to your crown, to your third eye and to your crown, and it goes up to the cosmos. And this meditation gets you grounded. And of course, you're making the sound of going like, and you're going up and down, up and down, up and down. And that is a form of an active meditation and takes your attention away from your thinking mind. And it brings you into silence and ultimately allows you to really get connected. So it's very, very powerful meditation once you learn how to do it. In today's, in this day era where we live, is the society collective. The focus in a lot of different parts of the world is very much into social status, making money, and having financial strength and financial independence. And to a very high degree, well, it's absolutely needed. You need to be able to afford things, to have a comfortable life, and be able to travel or have a nice home or have a fair, decent life. But in today's world, spiritual values are lost. So much emphasis on material, so much emphasis on getting more, gaining things, and very little attention on working on ourselves and finding our divine self, coming to our own source. And so we're not really, when I say we, I'm talking about the society. We're not really teaching that to our children. We're teaching to our children that they need to go out there and become wealthy, successful, and their attention is on gaining materials. So, and this is the main problem of the world we're in right now. The old days, for example, like in India, it's still, to some point, it's still valid. But old days, they created ashrams. An ashram was for the wealthier people would support and would contribute to the guru, and they would create an ashram, and it was it's like a center for all the spiritual seekers to come in order to practice spirituality without worrying about making a living. So it's a free community, free establishment, and which wealthy people will contribute to it. And for average seeker to come there and to meditate and to do spiritual work in order to reach self-realization and freedom. And normally an ashram has a living guru in it. And and when you're in India and you go to a traditional ashram, most of them do not charge you for staying there. If they give you a bunker or a room or an area to live in, and they feed you 3 times a day, and a part of the deal is that you may do some volunteer work in return. So that is the basis of having an ashram. And of course, in today's world, things have changed drastically. And it changed its form. And we have an increasing number of both seekers and spiritual teachers. And know where and who is the true teacher, and whether they're sincere in their teachings or not. And since everything is blended in this day and age, so a lot of the teachers, they have to make a living through their teachings. So now the money is involved. So everything is in a different way in comparison to how it used to be a couple hundred years ago, 300 years ago. But in general, as a society, as a culture, as that our focus is lost, it's gone as general. And I'm not talking about you guys that are here and doing the work, because obviously you're very focused in developing yourself. But I'm talking about the society. You're turning on the TV, you're listening to radio, and there is no promotion. They may be talking about religion, and there may be some channels that religious channels, which are basically either financed by the church or some private people, and they're teaching, they're hoping that they're going to be recruiting good soldiers for their church or their mosque. And the talk is about, it's dogmatic conversations and promoting fear of God, and don't do this and don't do that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, you don't go to a major network, turning on the TV, and the network has programs about self-realization, programs about teaching us how we find peace within, how we find God inside ourselves, how we come to a still and silent place. There's basically, there's no attention or promotion going in that direction. When you turn on the TV, you're watching, we're filling up the minds of our youngsters by either violent movies, sci-fi movies, that there's a lot of crashes and bombs going off and shooting and killing and beating each other up, or things like that, or there's competitive sports that we're watching. Their minds are filled up with a brand new hamburger that McDonald's or Burger King or a manufacturer is offering, a big juicy cheeseburger or pizzas. There's no shortage of new companies or corporations making pizzas or whatever. But we don't get to see programs promote realization. It's very clear that the mentality of the majority of people on the planet is on accumulation of wealth. It's all about making more money and getting more stuff, or finding love in the other world, or distorted sex, not healthy sex, distorted sex. So there's a lot of sexuality in a distorted way connected to our ads or movies or images that we're putting out. So if you just take your time and watch, turn on the TV channels and go through the TV channels, and you're gonna kind of, and take notes, and you do it regularly for a while, you will end up, in just maybe 10 or 15 categories. You will find that you see cars being promoted, new phones are being promoted, either it's about alcohol, it's food, it's sex. If you can categorize it, and it won't be probably more than 20 categories if you really sit down and pay attention. that pretty much everything which is being advertised falls into 20 different categories. And hardly anything or none about spirituality. Listen, pay attention. You go check it out for yourself. You know, it's very simple. You turn on the TV and go through TV channels and just see what's going on out there. And this is what we're feeding to our children and promoting to our children and brainwashing them. And that's what's been happening to us too. Or the news is another category, which is basically promoting fear, anxiety, and separation. There is them and there is us. And they're the enemy and we're the good guys. And we have to protect ourselves against the enemy. There's never ever, hardly ever, any kind of programs about any sort of oneness. Anything that talks about us all originating from one place and we're all being connected to each other, and about self-realization of coming to this place within ourselves of really recognizing that the divine being is everywhere in everyone. And in that recognition, we only look separate, different and separated. We appear to be separated and we look different, but our very foundation is the same, and we're all looking for the same thing, no matter where we go. And you experience that when you travel. I remember went on a journey in search of self. I left the US, I went to Iran, and from Iran I went to India, and I went to Philippines, to Thailand, to Nepal, Indonesia, and I was traveling for 3 years and going back to India to see my guru, my teacher, just going back and forth in Asian, Middle East, Asia and Southeast Asian countries. And one of the first things I started to learn and discover, because that was really my first time traveling like that and being exposed to so many different cultures and so many different people and different classes of society. And then I started to see, everywhere I went, I started to see that the people of that area, they love their children, they love their family, they were working to hold their family together and to provide for their family, and they were all looking for happiness. And I didn't find people, when I traveled, aggressive. I didn't find them trying to conquer their neighboring country. That wasn't what I felt. I didn't get the feeling like what I felt. But generally, wherever I went, being in a train station in India or being in a village in India, going from one town to another town, or being in Philippines or being in Nepal or Thailand, yeah, you have to be street smart, definitely. You know, there are people out there that, you know, they are thriving, looking for travelers or tourists or whatever, and they can rip them off or steal their camera or come up with a trick to steal their wallet or whatever. Those kind of things, those tourist traps are out there everywhere. But that doesn't represent the nation. And that doesn't represent the general mentality of people of a region or country. And I met a lot of sincere people in different places who wanted to help. They were interested where I come from. They were hoping, as a foreigner being in their town or village or in their country, I don't leave with a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't think of them in a bad way. There were a lot of people who sincerely helped and were loving and giving. And that is my discovery. So we are continuously being bombarded by the news and the media, trying to stay separated and isolated. They are brainwashing us not to connect, not to go out there, be afraid of one another, not to go to the shopping mall, not to go because there may be a terrorist attack. You may get some kind of disease from other people, or if you're Norwegian and you're going to go to Turkey and you have all these fears that they may not like white people or they may do something to you. And it's really not true. But when you get out there and going to different places, you realize it's not really true. It's bullshit. It's like hype. Yeah, things can happen, but things always happen. And yes, that's true. There are regions of the planet, certain places could be more aggressive or dangerous. I agree. Is there danger in certain places? Yes, there is. Are there cities or towns or societies that could be more aggressive, or if you're not street smart, something can happen to you? Yes, it can. But generally, when you go travel and you go to other places and other cultures, it's very tranquilo. You just start to realize that nobody is really out there trying to get you. They're happy to have you there, and they're happy to have business coming in and connecting with other cultures and nations. That's the general thing. But that's not what we're being fed. We're being fed something else. Because the more we're in fear and anxiety, the more we're going to be in separation. The more we'll become money-oriented, and money becomes our God, which that's what it is right now. That's the main theme in the world. Money is being worshipped. The less we pay attention to our own hearts, the less we're here and we're compassionate, because now money is the object, is the goal to get to. And in that, we don't give a damn about anybody else or anything else. So that becomes our God to reach other people, to get, and we'll do anything. My screen looks frozen, so I'm not sure if you're hearing me. Can you hear me? Raise your hand. Yeah, you can hear me. Yeah. So the few of us, in comparison to majority of the planet, us. It's our responsibility. We're the ones who become self-aware and self-awake. We're waking up. We're awakened in comparison. So in this awakening, we're the ones who need to stay focused and clear and not fall into the trap that majority of people on this planet have fallen into. And consequently, they're suffering from it. We're the ones who have come on this path and start to recognize and realize the spirit within. And we're the ones who realizing that money is another object to help you make your life comfortable, but it's not going to be able to bring you happiness. So it's not our number one priority, even though it's connected to our root chakra. Because money is connected to our survival. It is very much. If your money supply starts to be cut, all of a sudden we go to very basic primary survival modes of fear and anxiety as far as, oh, my life is going to end. And it brings tremendous amount of fear. So on this path, we need to recognize that. It's a recognition that financial stability, money is very connected to my root chakra. And when that part starts to get shaky, the reason we get so frightened and the reason we become so insecure is because we think we're going to die. It brings the feelings of death. So again, it's good to be aware of it. It's necessary to recognize that. But also in the same time, we cannot allow money or material world replaces God and takes away our spiritual values, as it's done to the majority of people on the planet. And allow money to hold us back from investing into our spiritual path. We can do that. We do make money, but we have to. There's no way out. It's been like this ever since. So that's a big part of our lives. And if you pay attention, a lot of us, most our days, we're out there working, trying to make a living. And that's fine, because that's how it is. You know, some of us are financially independent, so our focus is not about making a living. But the rest of us, we have to go and make a living. But that's fine. We go out there and make a living. But we cannot take our focus off of our main goal. And our main goal is freedom. We want to become free from fear and anxiety and duality. That's what we want. We want happiness, ultimate happiness. Money cannot bring that to us. You can have all the money in the world, but if you haven't worked on yourself, then the moment that your partner is flirting with another man or another woman, you're going to this fears and emotional stuff comes, and all of a sudden you become very ugly. You become needy and jealous and ugly, and all these ugly qualities will come out of you because you haven't worked on yourself, you know? So it's not really money. It can't bring us any happiness, or it cannot bring us any security. It brings us a false sense of security. But if you're insecure, you're still insecure. Even if you have $10 million, something will happen and brings that insecurity out of you. If you are fearful, you're still fearful. If you're not trustworthy and you're not trusting, you're still going to be that. Now you have more money, and now you're going to trust other people or your family or friends less, because now you're thinking about they want something from you. So you're not free. So money is not going to bring that. We need to be very clear about it. Again, we need it. We work for it, because that's a part of the structure of the life we're in right now. Yeah, until we arrive into this utopia or this idea, this ideal type of life, you have to deal with whatever you have to deal with. But we cannot let that, the fear of money, to hold us back from really pursuing our goal. And our goal, our main goal, is realization, self-realization, love, freedom. Freedom is what we want. And that freedom is not into how much money I have so I can travel around the world, and I have 5 homes around the world, and I have 5 cars, and my entire retirement is set, and da. That's not freedom. Because you can set all these things up, and then all of a sudden you get the news that you have some kind of cancer, and now you're miserable. Or you get the news that your partner is dying, or whatever things that are happening every day in our lives, and you can see it and you've experienced it. That's not it. We need to become free within. That's where the main freedom is. We need to become free. And to be free within means that you have identified that you're not your thinking mind, you are not your emotions that are yo-yo, they come and go and come and go and come and go, and you're up and down and up and down and up and down. You have freed yourself from the emotions. You have freed yourself from your mind, which can drive you crazy at times with all these crazy thoughts. And you've ultimately realized that you're not your body either. You're not the meat, because the meat is eventually going to die. It will start to get old, it will start to dysfunction, and which we call it getting sick, and it will die. Freedom is to realize you're not neither of the three. And in that realization, when you start to realize that you're not your thinking mind, you're not your emotions that are up and down all the time, and they're easily being manipulated by the media, by other people. They're very easily manipulated by your nervous system, by your digestion, by your hormonal imbalances. Your emotions are very easily being manipulated, and you realize you're not that either. And you starting to see that you're not this body neither. And then you begin to bring your attention, starts to turn into this other place, which you begin to see yourself, the real you. And as you start to taste and see the real you, you begin to see you're free, and the joy, the real joy comes. Because as we're starting to touch this place within ourselves, the more you touch yourself, the more you come to here, the more, this craziness in your head, you disconnect from it. You start to see it and you disconnect from it. It's there. The craziness in the mind, it's there. And as you're just starting to become an observer of your emotions, and you start to see you're not really these emotions either. So, and then you start to also recognize the realization that you're not your body, your physical body, which that is the strongest, the most powerful identification we have is with the body. So once you start to see these two, the thoughts and the emotions, that you're not them, then it becomes very easy in comparison to kind of realize that you're not your body either. And in this migration, as it's happening, it's not like, all of it happens simultaneously together, but I'm just putting it in category. But as these things are happening, you start to get glimpses of the real you, of yourself, which you start to taste the real love and touch this place. As we've done it in my workshops we've done, different meditations we do with each other. As the mind becomes quiet, you start to touch this thing. And you may not have a word for it, but you start touching it. And you start feeling this, wow, it's quiet and there is love. And it's warm. It's warm, it's fuzzy. And you begin to trusting it more and fall into this place. And the more you fall into it, your mind is quiet, and you're here, and one can call it you're in meditation or whatever it is, which you don't necessarily have to be doing formal meditation to get to it. It's your natural state. So it happens a lot. If you pay attention to it, it happens a lot that you get out of your mind and you come to this place. And you begin to trust this place. You begin to trust this, whatever this is. And the more you sink into it, the more you realize that all is well. And regardless of what is going on in the other world, because the other world, there could be madness, craziness, all kinds of different things. And the more you fall into this place, which is your own center, and it's very still, still. It's really still. There's nothing going on. It's very quiet. On the outside, everything is falling into pieces, falling apart, and is going crazy, but you're really still and silent and quiet inside. And you establish a stronger footing in this place. And the more you fall into, the more you connect to it, and you're here in this place, it's like this, the less you pay attention to the other world, and it starts to lose its reality. You start to see it that, wow, this thing in the other world is really not real. It's not real. So therefore, I cannot be afraid of something which is not real. But these are words. I mean, if I say these things to somebody who hasn't touched themselves, they don't understand. This is not real. How could this be? And they're right. But when you start to touch the place within yourself, which is very real, and it's very quiet and silent, you begin to recognize this place, and you keep coming back to this place, and you realize this is the only thing which is real. And then the quality of life begins to change, because a deep sense of trust comes in your life. You have developed powerful spiritual values. A deep sense of trust comes. And from that place, you begin to see that all is well, and Her Majesty, the Supreme Soul, God, you want to call it, the Supreme Intelligence, is handling everything, is taking care of everything. And everything is handled. You don't need to worry or go to panic. You can just relax and sit back, and it takes care of everything. And in that it taking care of everything, yeah, there's sometimes action is required. It may make you move and do this and do that. But ultimately, you have this sit back and kick back attitude towards life, with this strong conviction that all is very well and everything is taken care of. And you start to see it. You begin to visually see and experience that things really take care of themselves. And you're fine. And you don't need to worry about anything. Anybody has any questions? I'm going to unmute and see, because sometimes when I do unmute, it's quiet, but sometimes the devices make a weird noise. So I'm just going to unmute everybody and see what happens. Okay. So far, so good. Anybody have any questions?
Flat white for Barbara? No. No questions? Yeah, I think I need to be muted because I'm in Starbucks.
Okay, yeah. Do that. Yeah, hi. Hi, Helena.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I wanted you to elaborate more on that Facebook post you did on These Are Powerful Times. You recall that?
Yeah, I posted it a few days ago.
Yeah, and I can allow, if you look at your Facebook messaging, I sent you a private message and I kind of elaborated a little bit more about that. I don't know if you can do that or not.
Yeah, I mean, regarding the message you sent me, or you
Oh,
just
yeah,
want me
yeah.
to
Well, I
talk
just,
about that post?
yeah, I didn't know if you looked at those messages or not, but there's a little more private details on that about what's going on with me. And I thought, I think personally, I probably might be in all those groups. So in any case, life has been very intense for me, and anything that you could do to help guide me in that process would be totally awesome.
Yeah, I yeah, I mean, the post, I think, I don't remember everything I wrote in that post, to be honest with you. I have to look at it.
You can go back and read it.
Yeah, I have to take a look at it. You want me to talk about it regarding you now, or privately message you back
You
privately?
can privately message me back, or something might, or there might be just some things you can elaborate more about it that could be helpful for everybody that's participating in this webinar.
For a lot of people are strong formational time. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna mute and then I will talk. How's that?
Yep.
So I that post I put out, it's I've written it a while ago, but I mean, as long as you're you're on this spiritual path and you're seeking and you go through different phases when you're on this spiritual journey, and these different phases, it can mellow down or it can really heat it up, and it all depends on different people, but ultimately is if you can develop this understanding. Now you may not be at this place that you have gone through awakening, a complete awakening of realizing the I am inside yourself, but you can realize that there is this stages in this awakening process, that things come and up and down, and sometimes it's very easy, it's digestible, and sometimes it gets a very powerful and trippy. And one thing you can realize that you go through these different stages, and then you can just kind of sort of relax into it, even though it gets very, very intense. And can you just, for a few seconds, relax into the intensity of whatever is going on in your life, whatever is happening in your life? Can you just relax into it? Let's say you just feel like your mind is going to go crazy, and it's very strong. Can you, for a few seconds, just relax into that, into this uncomfortableness that the mind is going crazy? Just for a few seconds. Can you just relax into being uncomfortable? You're very uncomfortable. Your mind's going crazy. Can you just for a few seconds relax into being uncomfortable? Be uncomfortable, but relax into it. And then see what happens in the midst of the craziness. And I know from personal experience how crazy it can get, they have, you feel, and it's just like going, I know that because I've gone through that so many times on this path. And then you get a break. You're still on the spiritual path, but you get a break and things mellow down, but you're still on the path. And then things get heated up again. So there's a lot of ups and downs in it. But I can assure you that one thing you can implement on your path, and you can really trust it, that no matter what goes on in the midst of the craziness, you can be 100% assured that your Sat Guru, God, the Divine Mother, will never ever leave you and abandon you. In the midst of the craziest time that you're going through on this spiritual journey, no matter how crazy it may seem like and how intense it may get, you're never left out. You're always accompanied by your Sat Guru and the presence of the angels, the presence of the guides. They're all with you, and they're baby walking you, always. And you may think you did a horrible thing. You know, sometimes we do stupid things, horrible things. It doesn't matter. You never get abandoned. Your guides are with you, and they walk with you. And you go only through very intense situations because, again, by your guides, they know how far you can handle intensity. And then they put you through the intensity that you can handle. They're never going to put you into a situation that they know you cannot handle and it's going to tear you into pieces. Because ultimately, all of it comes out of love. And this love is not, it's not like, look, this is the opposite of the God we've been told. We've been told about this God who has a joy for punishing its subjects. This God who's out there that if you think about sex, he's going to beat you up and punish you, or if you have desires and you act upon your desires, and this God is going to really give it to you. That's not it. You're going through intensity, whatever, whether you did something wrong or not, whatever, that's what you did is not the subject here. So you can put this away. Okay, I did something really horrible, and now I'm going through this thing. What you did is not important. You're going through intensity. And that intensity that you're going through is a purifying process. They're not putting you through stuff to punish you. You're going through stuff in order to purify. Now, this purifying is different than what they teach you in Christianity, that you were born guilty and until you go through a lot of penance and you become clean. I'm not talking about that one from what they give us, church or the mosque, or my screen froze, so I'm not sure if any of you are there. Okay, internet, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I'm not talking about that kind of purification. Okay? So put this idea of being punished by God out of your head, because there is no such a thing of God, the divine love, wanting to punish you. Okay, that is an idea they brainwashed us with when we were little kids by these stories of heaven and hell. That's not it. What I'm talking about purification is that the death of the ego. It's the ego which is the false identification. There is this assumption that I am something else but God. There is this assumption that I am somebody separated from the oneness. And in this somebodyness that I am, I can do something wrong, or I can gain things and do something right. This is the ego. This is the idea of a person separated from the oneness. So when I say you're going to a purification process, is the death of this idea of somebody that you think you are. So when they're purifying you, they put you on the grill, is they're cutting, they're shaving. It's like a master is making, I'm giving you different examples, okay? It's not that exactly, but I just want to give you a visual example. Let's say you're sculpturing, you're doing a sculpture, and now in the sculpture, you're working with this stone, and you're cutting through the stone because you want to make a face out of it and create a pretty face or whatever. So you need to work with the stone and cut through different parts of it, and maybe shave it or whatever you have to do, painting to it, scrub it to make it smooth, whatever you have to do, you're making a sculpture. So a part of this purification, that's this purifying process, is that this false identity that we have picked up from childhood, that I think I'm limited. I think that I am a person, rather than knowing that I am that, rather than the divine oneness, and I'm complete, and I'm whole, and I'm love, is that I picked up this identity that I'm limited, that I'm needy, this neediness that the person has, that I need to be loved by other people. I need other people pay attention to me, or I want to manipulate other people to ego trip. I want to be in charge of a lot of people and tell them what to do. Those things need to purify and to get rid of. This false identity that I picked up. So those starts to purify. So I realize that I am that, and I am whole, and I'm complete. I am love, and there's nothing missing. I am one with God. I'm an expression of the Absolute. I'm an expression of God, and there is no separation. I'm not, so therefore there's nothing missing. But they take us, your guru, your guides, they take you to these different stages till you come to this understanding. And in that, it seems like we're being punished. There is the appearance of punishment, but you're not being punished. You're just being taken to these different stages to recognize yourself, to realize who you really are, to realize your vastness, to come to your power, to your own beauty, to go beyond the shape, to go beyond the appearance, to go beyond your judgments, because we're judging. We have these ideas about other races, other religions, other nationalities. To go beyond these things, to recognize the true love. Not romantic love, the real love, which is here, which is yours. And until then, yes, you have to go through these stages. You picked up the identity of a person, and this person is in separation, and this person is limited, and this person is needy. It's always me, me, me. And so they want to help you get rid of that, to come to yourself. So we're coming to the end of our broadcast. The next week, actually, is going to be on is about Wednesday, because I'm traveling on Tuesday. I'm not in town. So how about if we get together next Wednesday, the next webinar? Is that doable? Yeah? Okay. It's going to be the same time at 10 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, and which is going to be at 7 p.m. in Scandinavia, but it's going to be on a Wednesday. So before we say goodbye to each other, let's just come to this place and just bring your attention to your heart. Just put your hands on your heart and come to this place and bring your attention here and come to this place of gratefulness. Just be grateful for being here. Be grateful for having each other. Let's be grateful that we're capable through technology to send this message with one another and to share these moments. And let's just be grateful for having love in our hearts. That love is here. And repeat after me for a moment, if you please. I would like you to just in this moment love yourself and accept yourself for being a spiritual warrior, for going against the mainstream, for walking your own path to the truth, and against the odds. You're doing what majority of people on the planet are not doing. And you have the courage to do that. And I want to thank you for that. And repeat after me. I love myself. I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love everybody.
I love everybody.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
I forgive everybody.
I forgive everybody.
Because I'm love.
Because I'm love.
Because I'm light.
Because I'm light.
Because I'm God.
Because I'm God.
That's why I love myself.
That's why I love myself.
And I forgive myself.
And I forgive myself.
Ah. I say yes to love.
I say yes to love.
Yes to love.
Yes to love.
Yes to love.
Yes.
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 Moments of being grateful. Remember, every time you come back to your center, recognize your own being. Everything disappears. The world disappears. And you come back to your power. You come back to your own center. And you recognize yourself. And then when you recognize yourself, you realize that all is well. And the story disappears. Your pain goes away. Your fear, your suffering goes away. You come back to the center. And this is home. This is really home. So I thank you all for showing up and sending you love. Stay in your heart. Just do the work. And if you have to do it every day, do it every day. Be here. Come to this place. And as you come to this place, the other world disappears. Even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. The world disappears and you come to the and you get and the world, you deal with it and all the story happens fine. Then you come back again here and you realize all is well again. And then that prepares you to go out there and do what you have to do. But you keep coming back here and you are established and you realize, and this is what the truth, where the truth is. So then you don't get fooled when you're out there. We don't want to change what's in the world. We just want to know what the truth is. And the truth is here. So you just come back to your home. Okay? Nice to see you all. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Much love. Eva, I'm going to contact you in 5 minutes over Skype.